Let's begin with a fact so wonderfully absurd it sounds like something someone made up after one too many Foster's loggers. In 1932, the Australian government officially declared war on a species of large, flightless bird. That's right. A sovereign nation, armed with soldiers and machine guns, took on the emu. And here's the kicker. The emus won. It wasn't even close. The birds absolutely trounced the humans, leaving the Royal Australian Artillery looking rather foolish. This provided the world with one of history's most gloriously bizarre military engagements, a conflict that pitted modern weaponry against feathered, long-legged chaos. This wasn't a symbolic gesture. This was the Great Emu War, ordered by the Minister for Defense, Sir George Pearce. He dispatched actual soldiers, men who had likely served with distinction, and gave them a new, less distinguished mission: wage war on native wildlife. The root of the problem began after the First World War. Australia settled thousands of ex-soldiers in Western Australia as part of a soldier settlement scheme. These men were given marginal land, encouraged to grow wheat, a noble but punishingly difficult enterprise. They cleared the bush, planted their crops, and prayed for rain. Then came the birds. Every year after their breeding season, great flocks of emus would migrate from the interior towards the coast, a journey they had been making for thousands of years. Their ancient migration route now ran directly through these newly established farms. For the emus, this was a spectacular stroke of luck. They arrived to find a veritable paradise. What had once been arid scrubland was now a sprawling wheat landscape, an all-you-can-eat buffet of tender wheat crops, with conveniently placed water from the farmers' dams. To a hungry emu, this wasn't a farm. It was the world's greatest salad bar. An estimated 20,000 of them descended on Campion and the surrounding areas, and they began to eat, and eat, and eat. The man tasked with leading this peculiar expedition was Major G.P.W. Meredith of the 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery. He was given 2 soldiers, Sergeant S. McMurray Gunner, J. O'Halloran, and their formidable Lewis guns. Their mission was clear: proceed to the Campion district and engage the emu menace. On the 2nd of November 1932, the military convoy rolled into town full of purpose and, one assumes, a certain amount of bewilderment. The local farmers were thrilled, believing salvation had arrived in the form of khaki uniforms and automated firepower. The emus, for their part, just kept on eating. Major Meredith was a professional soldier. He approached the task with military seriousness. He established a base of operations, began to formulate a strategy. The plan seemed simple enough. Farmers would help corral the emus into a confined area, then the machine gunners would open fire. It was a sound plan, on paper. The problem was that emus don't read papers, masters of unpredictable, asymmetrical warfare. The first engagement set the tone. A flock of about 50 emus was spotted. Soldiers and settlers prepared an ambush. They concealed themselves and waited. The moment arrived. The emus ambled closer. Major Meredith ordered fire. The Lewis gun roared to life. In theory, the birds should have fallen in droves. In reality, chaos. The flock scattered in every direction, running with astonishing speed and agility, almost impossible targets. After huge expenditure of ammo, perhaps a dozen birds were killed. The soldiers were stunned. These birds weren't a single herd. Each emu made its own decision to get the hell out of there, running zigzag patterns, using terrain for cover. Major Meredith later noted, "Emus seem to have a leader. Each mob has its leader," he wrote. A big black-plumed bird, 6 feet tall, keeping watch while mates carried out their destruction. They had lookouts. They were organized. The final, most humiliating attempt involved mounting one of the Lewis guns onto the back of a truck. This led to a scene straight out of a slapstick comedy. The truck bounced and lurched wildly over the rough farmland, making it impossible for the gunner to take any kind of aim. The emus, meanwhile, easily outran the vehicle. After firing nearly 10,000 rounds in total, they had killed fewer than 50 emus. The whole affair was becoming a national embarrassment. The Minister for Defense decided to cut his losses. The soldiers were recalled. It was far cheaper to offer a bounty system and build stronger, taller, emu-proof fences. The ultimate solution was engineering, not warfare. The ultimate legacy is pure, unadulterated historical absurdity. It has become a treasured national anecdote for Australians, a story of human hubris meeting the chaotic, unpredictable force of nature. We showed up with machine guns and were outsmarted by birds with brains the size of a grape. The natural world operates by its own set of rules. The emus didn't ask for a war, but when it came, they won it.